everyone, welcome back to a new episode of IELTS Speaking Saturdays. So let's get started with our brand new set of questions. Part 1. How often do you go online? Oh god, I am practically always online except when I'm sleeping. If I'm awake, I am online. Either I'm really working and my work is on the internet, so I need internet connectivity at all times, but even when I'm outside the home, I'm still connected. I'm like glued to my cell phone, which I know is a bad habit. But even if I'm like doing other things, like I'm cooking or maybe I'm just doing some chores around the house, I'll still be online. I'll still be listening to something on YouTube. So as long as my eyes are, as long as I'm awake, my eyes are open, I'm probably connected to the internet. What do you use the internet for? Well, I think the most important part is work. I work online. And so the internet is not just like when I was a kid, it was something for fun. But now it's still something I use for fun, of course, but it's also important for my work. And that's one thing, but then practically anything that I want to do, whether it's entertainment, whether it's talking to people, whether it's, getting help or advice or just learning things. There's so much that you can learn. All these language courses that I'm doing, they're actually entirely online. The teaching is all done online, and I just have to take the exam in person. So it's very useful. How do you get online? Well, so I have Wi-Fi at home. I have this router that admittedly is not a very good router. I go into the kitchen and then I lose a couple of bars. So that's not very good. They gave me a really bad router. But okay, it works fine. We have like a whole bunch of phones and tablets, and there's the TV as well, and everything is connected to the internet. And then on my phone, I also need to have this data pack, because anytime I go outside, of course, I do need the internet, especially because I stream music. I have this Apple Music subscription, so naturally I need the internet for that as well. So yeah, if I start to panic, like sometimes there's outages in internet, like occasionally, like once in a blue moon. When that does happen though, I start to like, my god, time starts to crawl, and you feel like, even my mom is like, oh my god, without the internet it's so boring, like what are we gonna do now? Like we really life just stops when there's no internet. What's your favorite website? Oh god, I don't know. I really don't know. I don't have a favorite website, but I really enjoy, like, for example, obviously on YouTube, my god, there is so much stuff. I love, like, all these paranormal podcasts and videos, and there's a lot of true crime stuff as well. Of course, and you can learn so many things. Then there's Reddit, very very useful. You can get into arguments with people online. But you can learn so much on Reddit. There's so many nice, really helpful people on there. If you ever have a problem, you just post in one of the subreddits. Then there's Twitter, the cesspool of the internet practically at this point. But you know what? I actually love, like, it's so crazy. Like, you have all these unhinged takes on the app. Like, there's this really popular tweet that goes, I can't believe Twitter is free. It's like an endless source of entertainment. And then of course there's Instagram. I feel like Instagram is kind of, I don't know. It's fun, of course. You have all these memes and stuff in real format. So yeah, the whole thing is just so entertaining, but I don't know if I have a single, like, I never have a single favorite of anything. Ask me, what's your favorite movie? What's your favorite song? What's your favorite band? What's your favorite book? I will never be able to answer because I just cannot pick favorites. Okay, let's try part 2. Talk about a time when you received good news. You should say when it happened, how you got the news, what the news was about, and explain why the news was special. Okay, well, the one thing that I can remember, like the most recent thing, that has got to be, oh my god, I really have to share this story. Okay, so I've been learning German since 2020 officially. through the local university. And at the end of the year, you have an exam that you have to take. Well, a bunch of exams actually. It's very rigorous, so, yeah, I mean, I'm always at the top. I'm always number one. And I'm not saying that to toot my own horn, but like I work hard and it shows. So, anyway, I know my level, right? And so this time the results come around and I see that I have, naturally, as always, I have aced. We had 3 written papers and I got the highest marks, of course. But we also have this internal assessment plus oral exam component. And so there I see I have something weird, like 63 out of, I don't remember the exact score, of course, but it was something weird, like totally unexpected for someone of my caliber. So I'm like, wait a second, like I know, like listen, okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. We have online lessons. I never turn on my camera. I just don't, okay? I don't. My students don't either, and I'm totally chill. Like my students, they don't turn on their own cameras, and I'm completely okay. Like I had, and they still, my own students, they absolutely, kick the exam's butt. So I personally feel like you don't need to see each other to learn. Anyway, that's my philosophy. So my teachers in the course, they're like, oh, everybody needs to have their cameras on all the time. I'm comfortable here in my dark room and my bed and my comfortable, big chair. Anyway, so I'm kind of like, listen, I'm kind of contrarian. Okay, so maybe they gave me like lower points for, this thing they call internal assessment, where basically how good of a student are you? And listen, I have ADHD, okay? So like I'm not the typical sit in your seat and, typical student. Anyway, but I know how I learn. I'm an adult, okay? I'm not going to tell someone, I'm not going to let someone tell me that this is how you should learn. No, I'm stubborn. So anyway, but we have the oral exam, right? And I know I'm the best. Like, listen, I'm not trying to brag, but I just know I'm good. So I'm like, wait a second, this does not add up. This does not make sense. I know what my performance was like, especially in the oral exam. I know I'm the best speaker. I know I've got the most fluency. So I get pissed, right? I get mad. And wow, this is turning out to be a whole story, but you have to listen. You're a captive audience. You have to listen now. I don't care if this takes 10 minutes. Okay, so anyway, so I'm like, That's weird. Especially because I saw that other people had higher scores than me. And listen, if I had a bad performance, I'd be willing to accept that, okay, maybe I got a lower score because I deserved it. I'm not like a sore loser or something, no. But I know my level. And I also know the level of my classmates. Okay. So, so I'm like mad, and I'm like, text the teacher, the group, like, hey, are you sure these marks are, correct? Because I don't think it's correct. And the teachers are like, yeah, we can't do anything. It is what it is, They basically didn't care. And I was like, okay, well, what do I do? So I emailed the department. I'm like, hey, listen, we got these marks, but I don't think this is appropriate because, listen, I mean, you can check my history. I've always been the best student. I've always gotten the highest scores. And like this is really not appropriate to my level. I think you need to check, my paper. Like you need to check my scores again. Something is wrong. And nobody replied. They never do. Nobody replies to your email. Anyway, so we have this in my country. We have this mechanism called right to information. In the US, I think it would be something like the Freedom of Information Act. So it's something similar, in case you know that. So now the university is obviously a publicly funded institution, and then because of that, it's subject to this right to information thing. Because with the Right to Information Act, you can ask for information from almost any public institution. That public, as in they get my taxpayer money. So. Wow, this is a great story. So anyway, I filed the application. I paid a small fee, and I'm like, wow, this is like one of these moments in my life where I had so much like energy and so much vitality, and I'm like, it's a question of principle. It's a question of me getting justice. So I file the application. I write this, strongly worded email, like, hey, look into this. This is not appropriate. I know my level, and this something is fishy. Something, I mean, maybe it's not fishy. Maybe they just made an honest mistake. But you really, really have to look into this because look at my past, records. Look at my past scores. Do you think somebody that gets like 85, 90 out of 100 in 3 exams is gonna get 63 or something out of 100? I don't think so. So anyway, and let me be honest, I had like very low hopes. Okay, I wasn't like expecting them to do anything, but I shot off this email, this RTI application to the Department of Education, the Department of Higher Education, and after a few days, I get this. Actually, I forgot if I got the email first or the message first. But anyway, I got like post sent to my address from this Department of Higher Education, and they were like, okay, we got your request and we're looking into your case, and you actually sent it to the wrong place, and so we're forwarding it to the right address, to the right department. I'm like, cool, okay, fine. And then a couple days later, the teacher from my course, she sends a message in our WhatsApp group, and she's like, okay, everyone, please have a look at the website again because we've updated some results. And I'm like, booyah! I'm like, yes! Because I went and I checked and they did fix my results. They fixed my scores, and now I had a very respectable score that made perfect sense. In fact, they not only gave me the correct scores, but I saw that a few other students also had better scores. In fact, one of the students had actually failed, but now she passed. Barely, but So, and then, like the next day I received post at home from the University of Mumbai, and they were like, oh, please have a look at the updated results. So yeah, that was like a great moment, because like again, I was not expecting anything to happen, but it's really great when the mechanisms, of justice work like they should. You feel like, wow, this is so cool. Like you as a citizen, as a taxpayer, you used a service, and it's a good service. It worked. It did its job. And the thing is, like, it's a question of principles. It's a question of being vindicated, right? Because I knew that this score is not right, but the teachers were not willing to listen. They just basically didn't give a crap. So it was a question of me being proven right. It's not, like I said, I'm not bragging or anything, but I know my level. And then, I was proven right. So that was great. That's like that day was like my highlight of 2024, to be honest. Best day of the entire year. Okay, wow, that was a really long story, but I had to let it out. Okay, let's have a look at part 3. So how do people share good news? Well, nowadays you go on to Facebook, you go on to, WhatsApp has this status update feature. So that's what I see a lot of people using. Back in the old days, what am I, 90 years old? But, like 15, 20 years ago, you'd call people and personally share news. Like I remember when I was a child and I won some kind of debate competition in school, and my mom personally phoned my aunt and gave her the news. Now I think, wow, that's weird. Like you could just, I don't know, like you would just post a status update on Facebook, or because like Facebook is where you add like your friends and family. Twitter is where you meet random strangers you vibe with. So maybe not Twitter, but like, yeah, WhatsApp status updates for sure. I see everybody do, because anybody who has your phone number, I mean, most people in my country use WhatsApp. So that's like the number one way that people will, share, especially good news, but sometimes also bad news in case, someone's passed away or something. Then you see, like all those things as well. So that's the most common way. I mean, it used to be that you would like meet people or call them. Some people would even send postcards and stuff. But like, especially like, if there's like a big event like the birth of a child, a wedding, etc. How does good news affect people's emotions and well-being? Well, obviously, it's great because when you receive good news, or when you are the person who's sharing good news, you feel like you've accomplished something in life, right? Especially if it's like, oh, you graduated, that's a big, great thing. Or you got married, you had a child, you got a new job, you got a better job, you got, an increase in your salary, you bought a house. It's great to feel like you accomplished or achieved something. But even just receiving good news, it makes you feel good when someone announces that they're pregnant, or when someone announces that they, got their dream job, or they, achieved some kind of milestone. So it makes you feel happy, positive. It makes you feel like there's hope for the future. So that's great. I mean, sometimes, especially nowadays, it can feel like there's a lot of negativity, especially in the news. And that can really negatively impact people. And like, some people are really sensitive to that stuff, and I can sense that sometimes. So getting good news, I think, is important even for your mental well-being. Can good news sometimes have a negative impact on people? Oh yeah, there, just because somebody knows you doesn't necessarily mean that they're a well-wisher of yours. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, let me explain. So, you know how you add people on Facebook, and you add people on LinkedIn, and you add people on Twitter, whatever, wherever else. Like, some people are your friends, of course, but then there's some people who just want to see, like, know about your life. Now, not everyone's got, like a good, like, some people, like, they get jealous when you share something good that's happening in your life, maybe because that's not happening for them, right? Maybe you post about how you got this great job, but somebody else may not be too happy because maybe they don't have a job that they like. Maybe they don't have a job at all. Or somebody announces that, oh, I just gave birth to a healthy child, and somebody else might be like upset because they can't get pregnant or something. So, it can, especially if you're in a situation in life where, you're unhappy, then, and sometimes even some friends can get upset, like not upset like visibly, but there's that feeling, that latent feeling that, nice for good for them, but, like, why can't I have that as well? So sometimes people get that, I mean, depends on the kind of person you are. Some people, they just kind of, are negative. So, I mean, you got to be careful, actually. You got to be careful when you share good news, I think. What kind of good news do people not share on social media? Whew, well, I don't know. Everybody's so different. I mean, how can you say generally? People share all kinds of news. I've seen all kinds of news being shared. But some people are very private, like me. And a great thing might happen, and nobody might, like, I wouldn't post about it anywhere. So, some people are like, you never hear from them, and then suddenly they post a picture and they're married and whatever. So it's like, you might have, I guess people actually post the big stuff, like the big stuff, like, oh, I got married, or oh, I have a child now. So people would normally post that kind of stuff because it's a huge life-altering event. But like smaller good news, like, oh, I found a great apartment, or maybe like, I don't know, I got a promotion at work. Maybe that might not, again, I don't know, everybody's so different. Like, I feel like I've seen enough posts where people do that as well. So it's kind of hard to say, some people don't share any news. Some people only share bad news. Some people only share good news. And some people just post their entire life 24/7. So who knows? People share all kinds of stuff, even stuff that shouldn't be shared. Okay, so that was that for today. In case you liked the video, please don't forget to click on the like button. Leave a comment down below in case you want to chat or you have any feedback. And we have tons of videos, so don't forget to check those out. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye!